This short video describes an assessment task for my events management course. Kolb's Experiential Learning Theory, or ELT, provides the framework for the course. The assessment task is the first of 8. Each task is an experiential learning activity that shadows the production of a live case study event. Assessment Task 1, or AT1, is targeted on one of the intended learning outcomes of the course. Students are expected to be able to apply a structured process to the conceptualisation of a special event. The ILO is expressed as requiring mid-level cognitive skills. This guides how I assess students' learning. My focus is on students appreciating that events management is a systematic process. This task primes students for more demanding tasks later in the course. Kolb's experiential learning theory flows from an underlying insight. Learning requires allowing learners to both receive and create information. Knowledge results when learners grasp and transform experiences. ELT was originally described as a cycle, starting with the here and now, or concrete experience, that set off a sequence involving data collection and reflective observation, data analysis and abstract conceptualization, feedback and active experimentation, that in turn led to behaviour modification and the choice of new experiences. The cycle has evolved and allows for flexibility in the design of my assessment task. Kolb later described it as a recursive or spiralling cycle. Honey and Mumford said it was iterative and could be joined at any point. Kolb described activities such as business games and role plays as concrete experiences. The insights of Allen and others set the scene. They argue understanding the environment is the first step in creating an event. It starts by identifying stakeholders and considering their objectives for involvement. Awareness of these objectives informs environmental analysis, and this in turn seeds event concept and design. Goldblatt suggests a simple technique. He suggests adopting the 5 W's journalistic technique of telling a story by focusing on the important issues: the who, what, when, where and why of an event concept. The task comprises 4 activities. 1. A mock face-to-face experience modelled on a client briefing. This is the concrete experience that starts our ELT cycle and furnishes data. 2. A team-based event conceptualisation workshop. This combines aspects of reflective observation and abstract conceptualisation. 3. A pitch to the client. This involves students actively experimenting for designs that suit stakeholders. And 4. A response to received feedback. This is an opportunity for more experimentation and can be the launching point for a second lap of the cycle. In Activity 1, students receive only a nebulous briefing for a proposed event. The challenge is to develop a concept addressing objectives identified by interrogating the client. Direct assessment of this activity will not occur. In Activity 2, teams reflect on the briefing, process collected data, and create a 5 W's mind map. It is assessed for comprehensiveness and cohesiveness along dimensions of stakeholder archetypes, archetype objectives and motivations, and a design that leverages these motivations and meets objectives. In Activity 3, teams produce a video pitching their concept. Each team member role-plays one stakeholder archetype, outlines their objectives and endorses the event based on their understanding of how these objectives are to be met. Implicit is an opportunity for each team member to receive feedback on how compelling is the case for stakeholder involvement. Assessment evaluates concept originality, design creativity, and presentation persuasiveness. In Activity 4, each team reviews the video of one other team, identifies strengths and weaknesses, and makes suggestions. The teams meet for the review. The reviewed team produces a written response and outlines design changes. Assessment evaluates the response to feedback with a focus on identifying positive changes to the event concept. ELT is appropriate on 2 levels: within the boundaries of AT1 and spanning across the full course. It reflects the activities that characterise event production and connects the assessment tasks. Scholarship supports the importance of using authentic assessment tasks. AT1 simulates a common situation for event managers, being called upon to devise a concept that meets an internal or external client's objectives. The client wants a successful event without always having a clear sense of what constitutes success. Schoen and Parry contend that objectives are the starting point that guides event design. Bevan and Wright found that employers operating the event management field look for new graduates to have relevant experience and place considerable emphasis on this. Robinson and others explain that authentic learning helps bridge the gap between the theory taught as underpinnings in business courses and the practical aspects of the business world. 81 aims to assess students against the Level 7 criteria of the Australian Qualification Framework. Against AQF Level 7 criterion, 81 evaluates students' knowledge as the depth of understanding they have of the event conceptualisation process, and evaluates students' skills as their ability to critically analyse and develop recommendations to respond to stakeholders. James and others identified 5 contemporary assessment issues in higher education. Issue 4 is highly relevant to our 81. Its activities support this issue. Students work in small teams, with each team member obliged to make an on-camera contribution. 81 also addresses 2 of the 3 assessment objectives. It encourages effective learning by giving students license to design their own event. It maps directly onto an ILO, thereby enabling benchmarking. The unanswered question is, does it meet the 3rd objective? It does assess learning as an element of a highly applied course, but it doesn't require students to review literature or reference scholarship, nor entails students building on prior academic knowledge or learning. It simply asks students to observe and interrogate a situation, think about what they see and hear, and devise a creative approach to meeting a challenge. Does this constitute defining and protecting academic standards? So the big question that plays on my mind is this. Is 81 an assessment activity that defines and protects academic standards? Or is it simply a learning activity that is authentic? More generally, can authentic learning come at the expense of lower academic standards? I'll leave you to ponder.